So a big decision was made. The schools were to reopen, but hospitality was to pay the price. It has been a catastrophic year for pubs, wine bars, in fact anybody involved in the hospitality trade. Now from tomorrow, some pubs in the country are reopening, others in Tier 3, life for them is pretty much impossible. In Wales, that maniac Drakeford, who's the First Minister, has now banned alcohol in pubs, something that Cromwell didn't even manage to achieve. But what I've come to have a look at today, and this episode of Nigel Farage Investigates, I've come to Barnes, here on the River Thames. I've come to the Waterman's Arms, which is an old historic venue where not only have they suffered through lockdown, but they've actually, in the most awful, horrible way, been taken on by the authorities in an attempt to close them down. And I think, frankly, it's tough enough for the pubs as it is. Let's go and find out what happened here at the Waterman's Arms in Barnes. All right. So in lockdown 2, on November the 20th, here at the Waterman's Arms, and of course, pubs were closed but allowed to do off sales. The manager, Adam Sanford. Adam, you were here, yeah?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
So I was standing by the door here, gentleman comes up, asks for a pint of bitter, tell him it all has to be pre-ordered online in advance, then to take away. He then says his phone is not working, asks if I can do him a favour just this once. I tell him again it has to be pre-ordered. He's quite persistent. I say, okay, just this once, but in the future it does have to be pre-ordered and taken away. So pour the drink for him, come back, and then him and another gentleman here with their council badges.
Working for the local council?
Yeah.
In trading standards, presumably?
Yeah.
And
licensing.
And how did you react to that?
Shocked, completely. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Did you manage to keep your temper?
I did. I was, obviously a bit shaken up and thought, I can't believe this has just happened.
So they came to trick you?
Yeah, it felt that way. Yeah, it felt like they had it in for us.
And did you feel, apart from that during lockdown that you had, as a pub, been obeying the law?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Gosh. And what did they say then? So they showed you their ID. What did they then say to you?
They then said, what you've done is against the rules, took down my details, asked for my personal license details, and then said these are a few of the things that can happen, read out the Miranda rights, and said you'll be hearing from us.
Gosh. Yeah. Isn't that unbelievable? I mean, just unbelievable. Haven't they got better things to do than to come and victimise someone like Adam, who is clearly trying to do his best in lockdown to keep the place going by doing off sales? I find the whole thing extraordinary. I'm going to go in a minute and speak to the boss, and let's find out what happened next. Well, it's a family business. They specialise in real ales, craft beers. There's even a brewery in the family. And at the top of the tree is veteran publican. Can I call you that, Dick Morgan?
Well, I suppose so.
Just how tough a year has it been for the pub industry?
Well, as you can imagine, the whole of industry and business, it's been very tough with the restrictions caused by the virus.
Yeah.
But for the hospitality industry, it's been particularly difficult, and especially in this last period, because we seem to have been victimised, if I could use that word. Most industries.
Just talking to your manager, Adam, about what happened here on the 20th of November. I mean, have you seen anything in all your years in pubs and hospitality? Have you ever seen licensing behave like that?
Well, I mean, I've seen some very strange things happen over the years, but I mean, basically it's what they call entrapment. They've created, for the want of a better word, a crime to be committed by their own actions.
Yeah, I mean, my view is that the industry's in enough trouble as it is. There are a lot of pubs are going to close, let alone behaving like this. So Adam clearly was doing his best, and was talked into giving them a pint, and they show their ID. What happened next?
Well, they then used that to issue a prohibition notice against us using the click and collect system for people to be able to collect their beer, which then meant we might as well shut the premises.
So they closed it down?
They basically closed us down. which is what they wanted to do.
So you were victimised.
Oh, absolutely.
So how long were you closed down for, effectively?
Just over a week.
Just over
we'll
a week.
reopen tomorrow, along with every other establishment. Yeah.
And will they be back on your case?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? You know.
Yeah, I find it astonishing. I find it astonishing. Well, look, there's a story. It's just one pub here in Barnes, but one thing's for certain, potentially thousands of pubs could close all over this country. I'm not sure our politicians, our leaders, many of whom are slightly odd individuals, I don't think they go into pubs. They're not big socialisers. They don't get how important pubs are, not just in terms of income and taxation and jobs they provide, but within a community. I'm also going to say this. Every pub's a parliament. It's in pubs where we discuss current affairs. It's in pubs where we listen to other opinions. In pubs we make our mind up on whether we like the England football manager or whatever else it may be. Maybe if the pubs were open, there'd be a bit more resistance to government policy on lockdown. Not that I'm suggesting that's why they closed them down, but pubs really matter. They're an integral part of society. They're something that we on these islands have done better, I think, than anywhere else in the world. We're having a dreadfully tough time. If you can support your local pub in any way, but I must say, what has happened here with clearly, and by the way, it's not because I've just met these guys, I know people who drink here on a regular basis, a well-run pub that's done its absolute best to abide by the law and abide by the regulations and entrapped by a local authority, licensing officers who should be ashamed of themselves. And this is it. This is it. London Borough of Richmond upon Thames. Express Taverns. Prohibition notice. The Waterman's Arms. Well, there you are. I mean, it's just absolutely astonishing. You know, you do hear about entrapment going on, but for an industry that's having the worst year in its history, that has been back into this second phase of lockdown, that faces even here in Tier 2 from tomorrow, you know, it's not going to be easy to get business back to anything like it was before, and to be served a prohibition notice because someone conned young Adam working on the front desk. I think the whole thing is disgusting.